Hello, everybody. It's Martha McCallum here, and it's a new edition of the Untold Story podcast. And I am very happy to be joined by Charles Djou, who is the secretary of the American Battle Monuments Commission, who runs not only this amazing American cemetery at Normandy, but all of the American cemeteries around the world. So, Charles, thank you so much for taking some time with me today.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. Thank you very much for highlighting my agency, the ABMC.
You know, I want to just get a little bit of your background quickly, because you served in the military. For those who don't know, explain your appointment to this position and your background, because it's very interesting.
Sure. So I've spent 24 years in the Army Reserve. I'm a colonel as in the Army Reserve, but much of my career has been in politics. I previously served in Congress, happily represented Hawaii's 1st Congressional District, and Hawaii is where I am from. It's where my wife and we're raising our children. So
this appointment, you were appointed by President Biden in 2022.
Yes.
So when you took this position over and you came to this place, and I assume you had been here prior to that appointment, but tell me a little bit about what you learned about the history of this cemetery behind us, because it is so significant, and it didn't happen overnight right after the invasion of Normandy, obviously. So tell us a little bit about the history.
Well, several things here. First, for me, it's enormously humbling. I think this site and all of the ABMC sites reflect the very best of America. They reflect America's best values. It shows America's commitment to every single service member. We say, well, we're going to send you overseas. We will bring you home. And if you make the ultimate sacrifice, if unfortunately you have to make the ultimate sacrifice, we will provide you a home like this one here in Normandy, which is serene, which is beautiful, which is somber, which is a perfect reflection of America and what the American people are all about. In Normandy in particular, of course, this was the beginning of the end. It was the start for the United States and our allies to conquer fascism and end Nazi tyranny over Europe and free this continent. This is America coming out and really becoming the leader of the free world. And it is footstep by footstep. When we landed here on the beaches in Normandy on June 6, 1944, then America began to push back that yoke of tyranny that was spread across the world.
Talk to me about the space here. It's overwhelming when you come here for the first time. This is my 3rd time here at the cemetery. But it is a stunning, the precision of this cemetery, the crosses and the Stars of David that line all of these green acres. Give us a sense of the scope here.
Yes, it's pictures and images don't do this justice. You know, it is extremely. You'll have to come here. And may respectfully encourage all of you viewers, please come to our sites. When you come here, you see the scope of American sacrifice here, and you see what America has done for the cause of freedom. And when you come to this site, it is more than just these crosses. Every single individual has a story behind it, and the ABMC is very proud to make sure we tell the story of each and every soldier and service member buried here at this site, because every single one of them had a family somewhere back home in America. And when you come to this site here, it is a reflection of America and how we feel and how we view and value freedom. And that's why it is so pristine. That's why it is so precise. And that's why it's such a beautiful place that people come back to again and again.
The Untold Story continues right after this. Those who are buried here are named. There are unknown soldiers who are also buried here, whose remains are buried here. And then in the area where the ceremony will take place are the lists of names of those who are missing.
Yes.
But then some of them have rosettes next to them to indicate that their remains have been found.
Yes.
Are those individuals then given crosses or Stars of David here on the cemetery?
Yes. So we have thousands of names on the wall of the missing, but I want all of you viewers to know that is the commitment of the United States to all of our service members. If you are missing in action, we will not stop looking for you. And that is why even here at the Normandy American Cemetery, 80 years after the battle here at D-Day, we are still looking for our soldiers and are missing in action. And we find them, we place a rosette next to their name signifying that they have been found. When they are found, today we give families the option, if they would like their loved one buried here amongst their brothers in the Normandy American Cemetery, or prefer that those remains be repatriated back to the United States and be buried back in the States.
Yeah. So these remains, I was reading about a C-47 crash site that where some remains were recently found. How ongoing are the efforts to still find remains 80 years later?
It's actually quite active. We're not doing in the sense of combing areas like we did immediately after the battles, but certainly when we find a crash site, our agency partners with one of our sister agencies, DPA, Defense, POW, MIA agency, to do our best to identify if they are American remains, and if they are American remains, can we identify who that service member was? If we're only able to identify that American but not the identity, we will bury those remains as a missing in action, and if we can identify them, we'll do our best to find the next living kin of that American and give them the option of burial here at Normandy or burial back home.
Yeah, I was speaking with Governor Youngkin of Virginia the other day, and the Bedford Boys, as they are known, 19 individuals who were killed on D-Day, all from the same town.
Yes.
In Bedford, Virginia. It's the largest number of losses for any single town in Virginia. And one of them, Bedford Hobart, is buried here in the cemetery. But I understand that his brother, whose remains were recently found as well. How many brothers, how many sets of brothers do you have here?
Yeah, I don't know the exact number that we have exactly here in Normandy, but we have several.
Yeah.
Indeed, one I will highlight is Theodore Roosevelt Jr. and Quinton Roosevelt, sons of President Theodore Roosevelt. Both of them are buried here. It is unique not only because they are both brothers, but Quinton Roosevelt is the only World War I burial here in the Normandy American Cemetery, when his older brother, Theodore Roosevelt Jr., died just a couple of weeks after D-Day. The widow of President Theodore Roosevelt requested that her two sons be buried side by side, and we granted that request. And we have two presidential sons buried side by side here in Normandy.
This is an enormous undertaking. These every 5 years, the very large ceremonies, dozens of heads of state. What is this like in terms of overseeing all of this?
Well, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But this is good. It is first, of course, a remembrance. We have to remember what happened here. It is a good reminder, especially to younger Americans, of why this is so important, what America sacrificed for the cause of freedom. But it is also a ceremony that reminds us that this is still relevant today, that America led the world in the Transatlantic Alliance to defeat tyranny once before, and this Transatlantic Alliance is still alive today. America is still the leader of the free world today. And that's why this is just as relevant today as it was 80 years ago. And that's the purpose of our ceremony here today.
Secretary Charles Djou, thank you for joining me, overseeing the American Battle Monuments Commission. And it's a huge undertaking, and we thank you for what you do. And it's great to have a moment to get your sense of the momentous occasion that we're about to witness. So thank you.
Absolute delight. And please come to all your visitors. Please come and visit us.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much,
sir. Very good to meet you in person. Great to see you, Charles.
You've been listening to The Untold Story with Martha McCallum. Don't forget to subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Make sure to rate and review. For more podcasts, go to foxnewspodcast.com. Listen ad-free with the Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.